Hi everybody, welcome to this week's episode of We're the Board, a horror podcast. We watch a randomly selected horror movie every week. I'm Bob.
And I'm Ben.
Stop mocking me, you son of a bitch. Are we opening with that? What the hell?
I didn't say anything. They didn't know until you spoiled the surprise.
There was no surprise. I look over giving the intro and you're just mocking my ass. What the hell, man? Oh my lord. Alright, we're getting off to a good note, I guess. Jesus Christ. How have you been, Ben?
It's warm here now. So that's
Oh my
something.
lord, it is.
I don't handle heat well. So this is like the beginning of the end.
You know it's hot when I have iced coffee rather than hot coffee. That's how you know. You've got a fucking jug of Gold Peak tea.
Yes.
Fair enough, honestly.
But yeah, it's been fine. I mean, it's, again, the end of the semester, so I'm slowly dying inside.
Fair enough.
And also, a bunch of people have called into work this week, repeatedly. So there's been, like, no one there to help.
Man, that must suck.
Yeah, it's been rough.
That must really suck, Ben.
Yeah, Bob's
for
acting
you.
like an asshole because he was one of those people.
I'm not acting like an asshole. I just, I haven't felt good, so I was like, I'm not going to go into work. So I didn't go.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
chilling.
a likely story.
Yeah, okay, whatever, Ben.
Yeah, one of the people, Bob plays games with one of the people we work with, and he walked up to me and he was like, "Is Bob here?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Yeah, that sounds about right. We were playing games," and I was like, "You should probably get off right now." And Bob was just like, "Nah."
Yep. Nah. Look, I've been big chilling. I've been
Big cheese.
big cheese. No, I mean, I just haven't felt very good the last couple days, and I just got all my stuff back. I haven't, not been there in, 9 months, so I was like, you know what, I'll take the next 2 days. I'll work on some side stuff. I'll pick up some cool art, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and then I'll chill. So, yeah, I've just been chilling, working on side project stuff. Mostly this podcast, TBH. All right.
All right, well, I think that means we can talk about the movies now.
Yeah, we'll move on to the movie section of the podcast. I'll save the art for later. We'll talk about it after or
You're gonna
something.
forget.
I'm going to forget probably, but that's fine. So where are we sitting, Benjamin? How many spots do we have left in each category? Do you know off the top of your head, or do you have to pull up your notes?
I don't know.
He's pulling up his notes.
We've done 4.
Yeah, I can see the sticky notes behind you. We've done 4.
Oh,
up
why
there.
didn't you say that?
Because I was asking how many.
That means we have 5 spots left.
But each category, how many spots in each one?
Oh, that's what you were asking?
That was what I was asking. Sorry,
Oh.
I wasn't that clear. My bad.
The first spot has 2.
Which is
Wild Wild West.
Wild West has 2. Okay.
The second spot has 2, and the third spot, second spot was Japanese
Okay.
horror, and then the third spot is Lovecraftian horror, and that has 1.
Do I finish H.P. Lovecraft stories today?
You could.
3 weeks in a row, H.P. Lovecraft, because
See,
we've apparently had such a good time.
I play
with
around with this
those.
bit, but I know for a fact you won't choose the same category 3 weeks in a row
Absolutely not.
because you're obstinate about stuff like that.
I am. It's something about me. I just have to. Japanese horror was interesting last time, to say the least. To say the minimum. I was interested.
What?
You know what? I'm tired of watching horny movies. I'm over it. I'm tired of this horny bullshit with
It really has been like
H.P. Lovecraft
horny
stories.
movies
3
3
weeks in a
row.
row.
Because Tetsuo, too.
Yeah, horny movie. And then From Beyond, horny movie. And then we didn't really get into how horny fucking Castle Freak was in the episode because I was done with it, to be honest.
You were really low energy. It was a hard episode to record.
It was a hard episode to record. It came out better than I thought it would.
I thought it turned out fine.
It turned out fine.
I carried that on my back.
Well, maybe my obstinance helped a little bit. So I think I'm going to make us return to the Wild Wild West, Benjamin. We haven't been there since the start of the show.
Manifest
The start of the
Destiny.
show. Start of the season.
Yeah.
So, I want to have a return, and hopefully it's a better movie than The Wind. That's all I want. That's like, if that's the bar is at the floor, dude.
Well, then that was a great way to start, right? We lowered the bar, so you are like, wow, I wanted a good movie.
But if we had started with a banger, I would have been excited.
Yeah, but then think about how rough The Wind would have been.
Yeah, you're right. Oh my gosh, if we had gotten all the way to the end of The Wind was our last episode, that really would have taken the wind out of our sails. Okay.
So,
that was a funny joke, man.
Bob, turn your mic off.
Turn my mic
And
off. I was waiting,
What spot do you want
that was
for
a funny joke. That was a good
the
one.
Wild Wild West?
I wanted to edit in like a brunts right there, but I left it in because I was gonna put one. I don't know, man. I've given up. Let's see. What do I have? 1 and 2 or 1 and 3?
Yeah, 1 and 2. 3 was The Wind.
3 was The Wind.
So spots 1.
You know
and
what? I
spots
want
2.
I want a good movie. Good movie will be on spot number 1.
Well, that's not true. It could be, but that's
Good movie in spot
not
number 1, Ben.
necessarily true.
Because
All right.
it's number
Is
1.
that what you're choosing?
Yeah.
Final
sure.
answer?
Yep.
Positive?
Absolutely.
You sure?
Yeah, Ben.
You don't want to do 2 instead?
No, I'm gonna do 1. You fuck.
Okay. Today, watching Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk.
This doesn't even sound like it has to be a horror movie. This just sounds like it could be anything. Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk.
All right.
Not to be confused with a hatchet or an axe. It's a tomahawk.
I'm gonna fucking throat chop you.
All right. You want the description?
Yeah. What is Bone Tomahawk about?
A sheriff gathers a posse to rescue the town's doctor.
This just sounds like an actual western, and that sounds fun.
Yeah.
All right, Benjamin. Let's fucking go. Let's watch some. Let's hear about Bone Tomahawk.
All right. It's 2015 film.
Wow. Okay.
It's 2 hours and 12 minutes long.
Whoa, that's the longest movie we watched in a while.
Yeah.
Last one we watched like that was like The Exorcist, and that was like 2.5.
It's not rated.
That's a dub for me, I think.
Well, that just means they didn't get it rated anywhere,
Yeah.
which can mean anything.
Well, it's not PG-13, so I'm less scared.
Fair enough. You're Kryptonite, a PG-13 movie.
I'm telling you, they are my kryptonite. Every PG-13 movie we've seen has been a horrific experience.
Review score, IMDb gave it a 7.1 out of 10. Tomato meter is a whopping 91%.
Oh.
And audience score is a 74%.
Okay, look, if
So-
I don't like this movie, I'm wrong.
There's a range of pretty good to great on this film. Awards. It has 9 wins and 20 nominations.
This is, look, okay, listen, Ben, it's like we're prospectors in the Wild West, and we've hit a gold mine.
Yeah, if I'm going to be fully honest here for you and the audience, this is the movie where I was like, I want to watch this movie. I'm going to make a whole category around this theme.
That's awesome. I'm really excited now. It's been a while since we've watched a really, really, really good movie.
So, first one, Amirian Western Film Festival in 2016 gave it the Grand Jury Award to Freddie Woff, the production designer, Caliber Media Company, a production company, and the Fizz Facility production company for technical artistic contribution to the Western genre. Next one's the Buenos Aires International Festival of Independent Cinema in 2016, gave it the Best Feature Film Award in the avant-garde and genre category to S. Craig Zoller.
Holy fuck.
It received a Fangoria Chainsaw Award in 2016 to Kurt Russell for Best Actor.
Kurt Russell's in this?
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
Next one, Fright Meter Award in 2015 for Best Makeup, which Bob loves some makeup.
I do like makeup. It's very, very cool.
Gardner Film Festival Award in 2016. They got the grand prize for Best Film. The Native American Film Festival of the Southeast 2015 Award to Raul Leyba for Best Actor. Once again, the Sitges Catalonian International Film Festival
Oh, it's back.
in 2015 gave an award to S. Craig Zoller for Best Director. The same, festival in the same year also gave the official Fantastique Competition Award to S. Craig Zoller for Best Director as well.
People love this movie.
And finally, the same one, the Catalonian Film Festival in the same year, gave the Jose Luis Guarna Critic Award to S. Craig Zoller.
The director of this movie.
Yeah.
Won so many awards for this shit.
Yeah, they're director awards,
Fair enough.
Notable actors. Kurt Russell as Sheriff Hunt.
Hell
Which-
yes.
I love Kurt Russell.
Kurt
Let's
Russell's
just
good.
start with that.
Kurt Russell is a good actor.
But it helps that he's the main character in one of my favorite horror movies of all time, which is Bob. You should know this.
I don't know anything Kurt Russell was in, but I know some of your favorite horror Candyman
No.
is really high up there for you.
Yeah,
I
but
knew
it's
that.
not Candyman.
What the fuck is Kurt Russell in?
Come on, Bob.
Well, it's not Train to Busan. That's
No.
a Korean movie.
It's from 1982.
1982.
It came from outer space, and then it landed in the Arctic,
Oh!
where it froze.
Oh my
And then
god.
Kurt
the
Russell
thing. I was like,
takes
what
some
is
scotch
Kurt,
and pours it
what
on a
is
computer.
Kurt Russell in that is a horror movie? The Thing.
Yeah, he's R.J. McCready in The Thing.
Yeah, I forgot. On God, I forgot that was Kurt Russell until just now.
Mhm.
I've not seen that movie in years.
'Cause you're afraid.
It's a good
Very
movie though.
afraid.
What do I remember?
Patrick Wilson as Arthur. Do you know Patrick Wilson? You should.
The name is really, really familiar.
Not necessarily by name, but by face. He's Ed Warden in the Conjuring franchise.
Oh, I know who that is.
as well as Josh Lambert in the Insidious franchise.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of those, but I know his face.
Yeah,
I know exactly who
very
you're
famous.
talking about.
He was in like both humongous paranormal
Yeah.
things back in the
The only
early
thing he missed out
2010s.
on was Paranormal Activity, I think.
I think so, but
Even then,
The Conjuring and Insidious are not even arguably. They are definitely better franchises.
oh, for sure. But I'm saying like big franchises of that period. Those are the first three I think of: is Paranormal
Yeah.
Activity, Insidious, and The
But
Conjuring.
Paranormal Activity is much older.
It is, but
Not
it's
much
still
older,
like
but like it's in the noughties where this was the teens.
my thing is it was still around at the time. Like they were still making movies for
Yeah.
it. It was still popular. People still
I'm
talked
pretty sure they're
about
still
it.
making Paranormal Activity movies, right?
I don't know.
Who knows? They won't let a franchise
They're making a new
dies.
Insidious movie. We haven't talked about
Yeah.
that yet.
Even though that
Crazy.
franchise was over.
Yeah,
You want to talk about that for a minute?
absolutely not. That scares me.
Oh. Basically, they ended the franchise in a way that was a decent wrap-up, and I don't know how they're going to continue it.
I'm almost positive this is about to be a prequel.
See,
A prequel to the last movie, which was a prequel to the original movie.
yeah, but they've already done a prequel to that movie.
Oh my god, have they?
Yeah, the timeline's really weird.
Oh lord. Okay.
All right, next one. Matthew Fox as Brooder plays Dr. Jack Shepard from Lost.
I haven't seen Lost.
Well, he was on 119 episodes. Now, you would know him, I'd assume you know him, as Racer X in the Speed Racer movie.
Oh, okay. I do know
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Such a bad movie.
It's a bad movie, but I watched it as a kid and I liked it.
I watched all the original Speed Racer cartoons as a kid.
See, I didn't watch
So
those.
we have them on DVD.
Oh, okay.
Richard Jenkins as Chicory. He also plays Sitterson in Cabin in the Woods,
I haven't seen that
as
either.
well as Giles in Shape of the Water. Lily Simmons as Samantha. She's played Rebecca Bowman from Banshee. She was in 37 episodes. Our main man, David Arquette as Purvis.
Oh my god, he's in this? Holy shit. I haven't seen him since the first episode.
Yep. First episode, he played Chris McCormick in Eight-Legged Freaks.
Yeah, man. Holy shit. It's weird to have him back. What? How many episodes later?
This is 25.
This is 25. Holy shit. We're almost to 50.
And I mean, that's not counting holidays, right?
That's not
But
counting holidays and shit, yeah. 25th official episode of the podcast.
Yep. Full loop. Now, do you know what role he's famous for? You should.
No.
Bob.
What?
I know you've seen this movie.
What is it?
He's Dewey Riley in Scream.
Oh, he's in Scream.
Yeah, he's the cop, the dopey one.
Oh, you know I haven't seen Scream.
Have you not?
We've talked.
Oh, I remember.
This
You
is the-
you just know how Scream goes.
This is the third time this week Ben has asked me if I've heard it, if I know, like, if I've seen
Beh?
Scream. Third time this week, Ben. Every,
That's
like,
fair.
I shit you not. Monday, you asked me, hey, do you know how Scream ends? I was like, yeah, I haven't seen it, but I know how it ends.
Bastard man.
Wednesday, you asked me, hey, have you seen Scream? And I went, no, we talked about this on Monday.
But I didn't ask you Thursday or
You
Friday.
didn't ask me Thursday or Friday, but you asked me today.
You weren't there.
Jesus
Uh,
Christ.
Sid Haig as Buddy.
Should I know who that is?
You wouldn't.
Okay.
But he's probably in the most famous Rob Zombie movie.
Oh.
House of a Thousand Corpses.
I want to watch
He's
that
playing
really bad.
Captain Spaulding. I think this is a story that will come up eventually when we do House of a Thousand Corpses. But I think it was for my 21st birthday. My friends got me a House of a Thousand Corpses themed birthday cake.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna save that story.
Okay.
We're gonna have a read.
We'll save it.
We do that.
Well, that's a movie that I've expressed interest in watching, so we'll watch it eventually.
Oh, Rob Zombie is a genre unto himself. You could choose Rob Zombie
I
as
know. I've thought about
a
it.
category.
I've absolutely thought about it.
Watch some more Halloween movies.
That's not why I'm choosing it. That's not why I want to choose it.
James Tolkien as the pianist. He plays Mr. Strickland in Back to the Future, the bald dude.
Oh, okay.
You know
Yeah,
who I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about?
I
Yeah.
know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Actually, I rewatched the original Back to the Future recently. What do you think
Good
I've been doing
movie.
the last 2 days? I watched it Thursday
I
night.
don't think you want me to answer that question.
Oh, well, yeah, fair enough.
Zahn McClarnon as the professor. He plays a character who I think you're gonna love the name of,
Okay.
Crow Daddy,
Crow Daddy.
and Dr. Sleep, which is the sequel to. Do you know?
Oh, not, is it The Sixth Sense?
No.
No, it's the other one with that same actor,
I'll
right?
give you a hint. I'm wearing a T-shirt for that movie right now.
Wait, what?
It's
I
The
thought
Shining.
That's a sequel to The Shining?
Yeah, Dr. Sleep's the sequel to The Shining.
Oh, I was thinking of Dr. Glass.
There's no Dr. Glass. There's Glass,
Glass. Yeah, whatever that is.
which
yeah,
is a
that
sequel to
universe.
Split.
Which is a sequel to
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable. That's what it was, not Sixth Sense. But isn't the dude in Unbreakable and Sixth Sense the same guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Doesn't mean they're the same movie.
No, but that's why I got them confused.
Oh yeah, that's why. No other reason. Uh,
What? Are you harassing me? Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
I didn't get to do it at work for
It's true. It's
5 out of 5 days.
It's built up,
so it's built
Ben's
up.
angry.
Sean Young as Miss Porter plays Rachel in Blade Runner, as well as Chani and Dune.
I haven't seen either of those. I assume you mean the new Blade Runner.
No,
The original.
Yeah,
Okay.
the original is Blade Runner. The new one's Blade Runner 2049.
See, I didn't know which was
So
which.
if I said Blade Runner 2049, I'd mean the new one.
I didn't know which was which. That's why.
Also,
I asked.
I'll usually specify like if something has the same name,
Yeah.
like Halloween and Halloween. I'll tell you Halloween 18,
Yeah.
16.
Well, like, and I don't do that on the episodes unless it's like specific. Like, I had for this last week's episode, I had to write Castle Freak 1995 because it was a 2020 remake.
Yeah, I know, but I'm telling you, like, if there's any confusion, I'll tell you which one I'm
Okay,
talking
good.
about.
That's useful.
Jameson Newlander as the mayor.
Okay.
He's played Alan Frog in The Lost Boys, as well as Anthony in The Blob, the 1988 one.
Oh man, we haven't got to watch that yet, but I want
That's
to
the good
really
Blob.
bad.
Well, they're both good, but for anyone who hasn't seen the 1988 Blob, if the original one is like a cheesy kind of black and white 50s monster movie, the 88 one is like cosmic body horror. Bob's
Yikes.
favorite. Nice and pink.
I've expressed want to watch that movie like really bad.
Well, yeah, you were like, I think it was season 2 where you suggested we do what, slimes?
Oh yeah, my category for season 2 was almost Nickelodeon. I wanted slime movies. It's a good category.
Get slimed.
At least I think it's a good category.
That's funny. Writer-director S. Craig Zoller. He wrote and directed it. He also has done Dragged Across Concrete in 2018. So he did that, after this. Not familiar with that one, but
No,
fair enough.
neither am I.
Budget for this film is estimated at $1.8 million.
That
so
is
pretty
a
decent.
big budget compared to everything I've been watching lately.
But it only has a box office of $475,846.
Ooh, that feels bad.
Yeah, but that's how it is sometimes.
Yeah, that's
Country
just
of
how it
origin,
goes.
United States. Now, this is the directorial debut of S. Craig Zoller, and I think this is kind of an interesting point that I found when I was researching the movie and didn't know beforehand. He's written a bunch of Western novels before he did this movie.
Whoa, okay.
Like, that's just kind of something he does a lot of. I think that's kind of cool.
That is really cool.
Now, addressing like that low kind of box office, the film has a low box office due to its limited release. From what I could find, and I'm not sure like how accurate this number is because I'm not sure like how much time they're counting for.
Okay.
But for home media sales, the number I found was $4.32 million earned.
Okay.
So that's doubling the budget.
Yeah,
right there.
doubling the budget just in home sales.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty solid, honestly.
Limited release movie, so it wasn't going to make good box office.
It's limited release, but like from what I can tell, people like it. So like
Yeah.
people are gonna recommend it to their friends and gonna go out and buy it. I mean, hell, you probably bought it.
I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, you're about to buy it. That's what I mean.
I thought I should mention that. So like this didn't perform well,
Mm-hmm.
or it didn't perform badly.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes box office can be confusing.
good. It can be a little misleading depending on how the film is actually released and stuff.
But I'm not sure for how long they count home media sales.
I would assume for as long as it's available. It makes sense to me, at least.
I'd assume there's a set period, right?
Maybe.
Because you can't count it forever, right?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Because this came out in 2015. They're not counting it now.
No one's fucking.
I'd
counting
assume
it
it's
now.
probably like a year. Because that's probably when you're getting the most sales.
Probably
It's a year after home media release.
Mm-hmm.
Last kind of pre-movie fact, because I only had 3. Zoller was inspired to write the screenplay for Bone Tomahawk after it was suggested by his manager/producer, Dallas Saunier, just a friend of his as well. His manager said that he should adapt one of his own novels, specifically his book Wraith of the Broken Land, which is his 2013 novel. It's also a Western. And Zoller kind of liked the idea of writing and like directing his own like Western movie, because obviously like that's what he...
I mean, yeah, when you
He
write a book,
writes.
you're essentially just doing that, except with words instead of a camera.
But he decided not to adapt that book because it would have cost too much money. And he didn't think he could do it on the budget he would be able to get. So he decided to go a different route. And he wrote this film, which could be shot on a lower budget than his novel.
That's nice. That's good. I'm glad that the director had some foresight to go, I know I can't make what I want with that amount of money, so I'm going to make something I know I can make.
Yeah.
Instead of being too, what's what I'm looking for? Like, setting your goals too high
Yeah,
and like trying to do something you know would be hard and just doing it easier and making a better end product. I appreciate that.
I think it's cool to just like to have an idea for something and instead of just like saying no, I'm not going to do that, adapting it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that speaks to the director's strength as a director, being able to adapt on the spot and do what they best can with the budget they have.
But that's all I got. So, are you ready to get into this movie?
Yeah, sure. I guess we'll see you guys after the movie. Hi everybody, welcome back. We just finished watching Bone Tomahawk. I don't remember the name of the movie for a
Now
second.
you got to say it right. Bone Tomahawk.
Yeah, Bone Tomahawk.
Bone. Before we like discuss plot and everything, did you like it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I liked it.
That was a pause.
Well, I thought about it for a second, and I was like, I liked it, but you know, there's some stuff I would change that I have issues with. I guess
Okay.
we'll see. Not that it was bad, because we have just discussed this beforehand. I think at the minimum we both enjoyed ourselves.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, at the minimum we both had a good time. So you know,
Okay.
we'll see.
All right, then I'm just gonna do a quick rundown of the plot here, right?
Yeah.
'Cause there's not a lot to the plot of this movie.
No,
it's
not
a very
at all.
simple plot.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. With the description you gave at the start, that's the whole plot.
Yeah. So westerns, just like as a genre of movie, tend to be pretty formulaic,
Yeah.
and there's like a couple different types. But one of the big ones is like a rescue type western,
Mm-hmm.
where the idea is someone's missing, and we're gonna get a posse together and go get them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this is. And that's basically the whole premise of the movie is some random people come in the town. We're not really sure who at first. They kill a stable hand and they abduct. She's one of the women who lives in town, but she's like the doctor's helper.
Yeah.
She's a medic, essentially. The deputy
Mm-hmm.
and an outlaw they're kind of
Mm-hmm.
messing with because they shot him in the leg.
That's why the doctor's there.
And so everyone finds them missing the next morning, and a posse's rounded up by the sheriff, Sheriff Hunt, who's played by Kurt Russell. And who else? It's Bruder, who's definitely a sociopath. He dresses in all white.
Bit of a crazy man.
Yeah. He is very distinctly, I think, the biggest character thing we learn about him.
Racist.
But yes, but it's the 1890s, and that's a given.
Yeah.
I was going to say he specializes in killing Native Americans.
That is his thing.
That's his thing. The other people is Mr. McDowell? Is that his name? McDowell?
O'Dwyer.
O'Dwyer.
His
That's
name is
what it
Arthur O'Dwyer. And his wife is who has been taken.
Yeah, she's
So
the
he's
person.
like, I have to go.
And then finally, my favorite character in the
I think
whole
he's
film,
Also my favorite.
Chicory.
Chicory.
Very funny.
He is the backup deputy. And he's
The
constantly
backup
going,
deputy.
in the backup deputy's opinion,
Yeah,
giving unsolicited advice.
he's a very loyal deputy, but he's very old
very old.
and also has no social awareness,
None.
like at all,
It's awesome.
and it's very funny, very very funny.
Such a good
He's
character.
also just like a klutz.
So good. So good.
But basically, most of the film, I think the first 20 minutes is that setup, and the rest of the film is these people going to go find the three missing individuals from their
Mhm.
town.
Yeah.
Their town of New Hope. The really only kind of change on this classic rescue mission style formula for this Western is who is doing like the kidnapping.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what really makes this a horror movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So the people doing the kidnapping are Native Americans, which sounds stereotypical in a bad way.
Yeah, for sure.
But the film does something interesting. So they come into town and they know it's this group by these arrowheads,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a Native American man living in town who basically comes up, looks at the arrow, and he's like, yeah, these aren't Native Americans. These are the weird inbred cannibals that live in these hills
Yep.
that no one likes.
Even the Native Americans avoid them.
And I think they start calling them troglodytes,
Yeah.
which means cave dweller.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was an interesting way to handle it.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely more interesting than just being like, oh, yeah, these Native Americans kidnapped our people.
But it's also slightly less offensive than going,
Yeah.
oh, these Native Americans, and they're cannibals. It's going,
Completely fair.
here's these people. Here's an active Native American man going, they're not Native Americans.
they
They're just
are.
horrible people that live in this cave.
Yeah.
But this group's interesting because we do get to see them at the end of the movie. Shocker.
Yeah.
There's a big climax. But besides the fact that they're cannibals, they use solely bone-based like weaponry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So bone tomahawks, which
Bone
are really
arrowheads.
cool. Bone arrowheads,
Bone like
jewelry.
knives.
One of the coolest things they have is slight spoiler, but whatever.
I don't
They
really
have
think it's
these-
that big of a spoiler.
Bone whistles,
Yeah.
and you can hear these guys shrieking. It's the only noise you hear them that make the whole movie. They don't
Mhm.
talk. And what they've done is they've inserted this bone whistle into their throats, so when they scream, it shrieks.
It's very cool.
It's
very,
really
very
cool.
cool.
But yeah, basically they're tracking these people down. They find them, and there's a big
Kerfuffle.
kerfuffle. But that's basically the whole movie. There's not a lot to it because again, pretty stereotypical Western.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I think we're mostly going to be discussing it from this point on. If you're okay
Yes.
with that,
Yeah, yeah. There's some stuff I want to talk about.
there is some stuff I want to talk about too. I got some notes down before the movie.
Okay.
Like things that came up in my research. If you want me to ask those first, and then
Sure, we can
get
leave
into
with that,
actual
and then we can
discussions.
come back to other stuff if we need to.
So, the first one is Zoller, the director, has described this film as a direct Western and not like a Western horror movie.
And I agree.
Do you agree?
I want to talk about that.
Okay. What are your thoughts there?
I could see how it is a horror movie. I did not find it scary.
Mm-hmm.
It leans way harder into the Western aspect.
Yes, it does.
But the fact that these are like inbred, weird, cannibal Native Americans leans further into horror, and also the way they look. They're very intimidating and meant to be scary.
They're
And-
almost inhuman.
Almost
In the way
inhuman
they're
in a way.
portrayed.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing that really gives it horror is the beginning when they're like hunting,
But they're stalking.
when they're stalking.
During the cold open. is
During the cold
basically
open
what
when they're
he's referring
stalking.
to.
That's scary. And the only other thing that makes it really horror-esque for me is the blood and the gore and the guts and stuff. But even then, I honestly would just go, that's just a gritty Western. Like, I don't...
Do you watch a lot of Westerns, or have you seen some?
Yeah, dude, my grandpa loved
Okay.
Westerns. That was a big thing for me as a
Just
kid.
making sure you have a background here.
Was watching Westerns with my grandpa, because that was what he liked. So at least for me, I could see this as a horror film, but I think it leans way more into Western.
No, yeah, I agree. I think it leans much more into Western. However, I would disagree with the director because he
Mhm.
says it's just a Western.
No, I wouldn't say it's just a Western. There are horror elements in this.
I would say like it's a Western movie that its subtrope is horror, rather than a horror movie where the subtrope is Western.
Completely fair.
Just because I think the antagonists of the troglodytes are almost like mystical in a sense that I would
Mhm.
normally associate with like horror movie villains.
Completely.
Like they don't
I
seem
completely
human.
agree. Yes.
And I
Totally.
think adding that element to a film that, for the most part, is a stereotypical Western gives it that horror edge.
Oh yeah.
Not even the blood and gore; it's who's doing it.
This movie.
Now it is a gritty.
I was about to say
Western.
this is a gruesome movie.
Like it has all the things you'd expect from a gritty Western. Like people take one hit and it's like, you're done.
They get annihilated.
You're done. That's
Yeah.
it because we don't have medicine.
Yeah.
So that's the first one I wanted to talk about. The second one is about budgetary restrictions.
Okay.
So apparently, a substantial amount of the content from the original script did not make it to the screen because they just didn't have the money to film it.
Okay.
And so my question here is a two-parter. Did you pick up on any of that? Like, would you have liked to see that content, or did you think it was fine as is right now? Because keep in mind, this movie was 2 hours and 12 minutes
It's a
long.
long movie. I didn't miss anything. No. I didn't feel like I was missing anything. The only thing that maybe I would say could have been longer is not longer, but I guess there could have just been more content in general. I don't know how much I want to spoil. Basically, near the end of the film, I just wish the end was longer.
The climax.
The climax was longer.
Where basically where the kerfuffle is.
Where the kerfuffle could have been more.
Yeah.
And that's my only thing. But even then, I think it was enough.
Yeah. I think the film's fine how it is right now.
I think it's fine, yeah. I think it's completely fine.
I do think that there's probably some stuff missing from the kerfuffle.
Because
Which I
there,
think is a
there
funny
was some
way to
weird
call it.
cuts.
It's not even just that. It's like, for how gritty this film is, the kerfuffle seems very,
Tame?
not tame, but quick
Yeah.
and
Fair
precise in a way that feels a little odd.
Yeah, because a lot of the other violence in this film is very grueling and like
The film's a
long.
drawn-out film, so having
Yeah.
the fights feel quick and short, even if they're gritty and that does make sense, feels a little bit tonally off.
completely fair.
The other thing I was going to note, content might be missing from a lot of the film is them traveling.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably a good amount of content that was removed from the traveling sequences, like conversations,
Even though there's
sights.
tons of conversation.
Oh, there's tons, and me and Bob were losing our shit most of the movie because
So
Chicory's
good.
just talking the whole time, and it's
he
very
does
funny.
not shut the fuck up.
It's very funny.
It's awesome.
But I guess I'm saying is, well, I don't notice that content missing on like review. I could be like, there could be stuff here,
Sure, fair enough.
and I think it would be interesting to see. I think the movie's fine as it is now,
Yeah.
but
You know what is really, really cool about this movie?
what?
Unless you have more talking points you want to go to right
Those
now.
are the ones I wrote down before.
Okay.
It's like, here's some research. Let's actually hash this out. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. You know what's really awesome about this movie? And I think this comes from the fact that the dude who wrote this was an author before he was someone who wrote screenplays
this
for
is the thing
movies.
we were talking about during the movie, right?
No, this is something similar, but
Okay.
not the same.
You go ahead, I'll do that one. Zoller's the guy's name, the director.
Yeah.
Writer-director.
The cool thing about this is, in real life, in real conversation, not everything you say is important.
Yep.
And what is so cool about this movie, and something I love, is in most movies, and we talk about this a lot, everything that is said or mentioned has some importance. If it's there for a reason.
What is it, Chekhov's gun?
Chekhov's gun, yeah. Basically, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, and I think in most movies that adds a sense of artificialness.
Yes.
It's like everything's important, everything makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not how real life is.
No. And you know what this movie does an awesome job of?
None of that.
None of it.
Literally none of that.
None of it. Everything that comes out of Chicory's mouth is nonsense.
Oh,
Has
it's
nothing to do with
nonsense.
anything. Which makes this feel so, I don't want to say light, but it adds just a sense of like, oh yeah, these are just guys chit-chatting on the trail because they have
feel
nothing
like
else to do.
Real people.
They feel so real.
Like Chicory seems like a real kook.
He's just a real old man. And the sheriff is just the coldest, hardest motherfucker
Yeah.
the whole time. And they feel like caricatures of people
In a Western movie.
in a Western movie, but they've been personified to be real.
Yeah, in a not artificial way. They seem real.
Yeah.
Like if you took that character type and made it into a
person.
person.
A real living person. And it is so fucking good.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I agree, and I'm going to jump off this to something we were talking about during the movie. And I think it has to do with the fact that we talked about Zoller being a Western author. Like, he
Yeah.
writes novels. You can tell in his writing for this film that that's what he does.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing that I picked up on immediately about Zoller's writing style is he writes like he's writing a novel.
Exactly.
So most of the jokes and humor and puns are all in the dialogue and, like, naming of things.
yeah.
So, first of all, some of the dialogue is goofy for no reason, and it's very
so
funny. And it's very interesting to notice because there's, like, no visual gags in this movie.
Yeah,
It's
there's almost
basically
none.
all dialogue.
Yeah,
Like, that's
it's
where
just
it is,
people
which is
talking.
very different from most films. Like, you can tell that this is a writer coming at this film.
For sure.
The other one that's really funny is, like, he names stuff funky. What is it? The Learned
The
Goat
Learned Goat, the
is
bar
name
they
of
go
the
to.
local tavern
Oh my god.
in New Hope.
Bright Hope.
Is it Bright Hope?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, yeah, it's just an interesting thing to see because I'm not used to seeing that type of, I'm going to call it style. But
Yeah.
it's very distinct.
It is really,
And
really
I think
distinct.
that's why we talk about how, like, the dialogue for characters seems so good.
It is, and I enjoy it a lot.
I think that's why Chicory's so funny, is because it's
Mhm.
coming from this place of, I need to entertain people with just dialogue during, like, these long
Mm-hmm.
walk
'Cause, like,
scenes.
It's a slow movie,
Oh, yeah.
and I don't really have that many complaints because I was entertained the entire time. At no point was I going, "Oh, this is boring." I was going, "Man, Chicory's lines are funny." And I was like, "Okay, all
Yeah,
right, fair enough."
I was kind of in the same boat, although I will say it's long.
It is long,
And if you don't like that, it can be.
a bit of a slog,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially if you don't find Chicory funny, you're gonna fucking hate it. Because that is the saving grace for these long periods of them just walking and talking.
Well, because he talks for most of the film.
Yeah, he's just him
most of
talking.
the characters don't talk besides Chicory.
Chicory's just talking, and it's other characters telling him to shut the fuck up.
With that being said, what do you want to talk about, Bob?
So I wanted to bring up the fact that I think the fact that a writer, someone who writes novels, writes this lends itself to the fact that I am of the opinion that the gang of characters on the mission to go and find these people is quite honestly the perfect mix of people, the perfect gang of people, because it's just such a, like, I don't know, classic Western posse in my opinion. You have the cold sheriff,
Mm-hmm.
who is a very serious character and trying, to do the right thing and be the good guy. You have his kooky side assistant,
Yep.
who is the comic relief, right? You have the everyman who's just there to save his wife. And then you've got the crazy guy.
I wouldn't still call him a crazy guy. I'd call him the dangerous out-of-towner.
Yeah, mostly I would say the only other character that I would say would fit would be like the outlaw type, which is kind of what Bruder fills. Is
well,
like
the gunman.
the gunman, yeah, the lone gunman. It's such a good cast of characters because they all bounce off of each other so well.
Yeah, I mean, those characters are tropes for a reason.
Exactly, and
it goes to show the strength of the writer when you can take a trope and do something worthwhile with it that doesn't feel overdone.
That's my whole thing is like, yes, this is a Western in a lot of the tropes in the different things that we see, but they're just taken above and beyond by a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the character interactions to a point that I'm like, wow, while this is derivative of other Westerns and other types of media, it doesn't feel that way.
No, it feels pretty good.
It feels unique enough to still have all these tropes, but also be entertaining.
You have anything else to add, Bob?
No,
Okay.
I have none of those.
Then I have one more point.
All right, hit me.
Yeah. So I have one big problem with this movie.
Oh, okay.
Like one pretty major problem with this movie. And this
do too.
is... Wait, you do?
Yeah.
Why don't you say yours first?
Because you were opening with yours.
But I asked you if you had any points to make, and you were
Well-
like, no,
well,
I have
because
no points.
I have points, but I wanted them to come naturally. And now they can because you've started the conversation of what we
hate
don't
you.
like about this
I
movie.
hate you. I hate you with a passion.
No, you don't.
It burns like the sun.
No, it doesn't.
We're like burns on my skin.
Shut up.
Sorry, it was still a long movie, and I'm kind of out of it.
Me too, man.
Good, but it was just
Yeah, it's long.
Anyways, I have one problem with this movie, and it's a big problem for me because it's an issue I see in a lot of media sometimes,
Okay.
and I don't want to point at this film and say they did a bad job, because I
Interesting.
understand why it was this way, because it's a problem I have that I know it's hard to fix. So I just want to give that disclaimer first.
Sure.
But my big issue with this film was sets and costuming.
Oh, really? Okay, this
Yes.
is not something that I thought you were going to bring up. I'm really interested now.
What did you think about the sets and costuming?
It was fine.
Thought it was fine?
It was fine.
I thought they did a good job of building sets, and I thought they did a good job of building costumes. I think they looked well put together.
Yeah.
My issue here is that things looked too artificial.
I did catch that a little bit when we got to Hunt's house.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the movie, we're in the town.
Mm-hmm.
You call it Bright Hope, right?
Yeah, it's Bright
Okay.
Hope.
Everything looks new
Yes.
and unused. Everyone's clothes look new and clean.
Yep.
The best costuming, I think, in the film is at the end when everyone's been wearing these clothes for a while and they're dirty. Because to me, that's more realistic. You have clothes that are worn.
Mm-hmm.
They look kind of scuffed. I mean, you live in a dry-ass desert,
Yeah.
and it's poor. You're going to have used equipment. The people's pots in their homes
Dude.
were unscuffed.
Mm-hmm.
These were clean.
You want to know the biggest glaring one that I saw?
What?
That opening shot of Bright Hope, where it's just like a pan across like the main street or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a Western theme amusement park.
Yes. And that's a big issue I have with certain properties, because when you make equipment or costumes or stuff like that for a movie, you buy it new,
Yeah.
usually. And so it's new and it looks new. And unless you go ahead and go the extra mile to scuff it up, it looks so artificial. And it's one of those things that bugs me.
Fair enough. No, I totally understand that.
We're going to go reference a whole different genre here. Series that really bugs me with that. Rings of Power does that pretty badly.
Oh, my lord.
With costuming.
Yeah. I've heard this complaint.
Like, any issue with Rings of Power aside that anyone might have, you can go look at pictures of some of the costumes, and they're too clean in a way that makes... And it's really bad in fantasy when you do that, because they look like cosplay.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
I don't know. It's one of those things that bugs me. I understand why it's hard to go that extra mile, because it takes time to scuff things up and make it look used. And if you're doing a film on $1.8 million, you don't have that extra time to go in and be like, all right, this is my house. Let me throw dust everywhere and burn these pots and pans and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say it's like me levying like a big complaint against this movie.
I mean, can I be honest? It's not that hard.
it's not.
Like, you know how... Look, okay, so to preface this statement, I worked in theater for a long time. Not a long time. A couple years. And I propped a lot of shows.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
I know you
so
did background like...
I built sets, but I also
Okay.
propped shows. I was prop master when we did a show called A Piece of My Heart, which
Okay.
is a show set in Vietnam. So when I propped that show, you know what I had to do? Go in with steel wool and fuck up a bunch of our props.
Yeah.
to make them look weathered and aged and like they've been on the battlefield and add dents to stuff. I literally had to go in. You know what I did? We had to have a bunch of flasks for the show because it's a very common thing to have like a metal flask, you know?
Yeah,
And I just took a fucking hammer, bonk, took steel wool, scratched it up.
exactly.
Just that little extra time and effort to this film would have made a big difference. I completely agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel really bad because it's not something I want to get on because I think that overall this film is very good.
Same, I agree with you.
But that's just one of my like minor pet peeves for like
Mhm.
set design because it takes me out of a movie like pretty badly when I notice it, and
Yeah.
I noticed it right away, and that's always frustrating because it's
Yeah.
like it's a lot of work for a movie set
For sure, for sure.
because it's different than like a stage. where you
Yeah,
have
and there's
one
also a
angle.
lot more individual props you'd have to manage and like getting everything set up properly. It's a whole hassle, but I'm just saying like
It's just frustrating because it ruins the effect,
yeah, it ruins the immersion into the like setting, you know?
especially because like those are the most intricate shots, like this town.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have liked to see those look like a real town because
Exactly.
that's where we
I agree.
establish our film. And it's also more frustrating because the end of the film, that issue's gone because they've been out in the field.
Yeah.
And I assume they basically took these clothes off.
Probably just rub them in the dirt.
No, I assume they filmed in the same set of clothes over and over again, and
yeah.
they like took them off and put them back on. But the costuming by the end of the film is great
Mhm.
because they did a great job picking out the costumes. They looked ironed.
Yeah. Especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
Everything looks so crisp. Which
And-
is like
Maybe that's something you don't pick up on as a first-time director.
yeah.
And again, it's harder with the low budget because it does take time. Like, how long did it take you to do all those props for that show?
Let's see. I think pre-production started 4 months before the show, and it took me the whole 4 months.
Yeah, you can't do stuff like that if you have a time crunch. I think they
Yeah.
shot in like 21 days or something.
Fuck it. That's crazy.
Because you have to go really fast. Because days are a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Um,
Holy shit.
So I get it. I don't
Yeah.
want to like rip on them too bad, but big pet peeve for me.
Fair enough. No, that's a good point.
What was yours?
Okay. I don't know if you're gonna be mad at me. I don't know if you're gonna be upset.
I'm always upset at you, but
It's
that's
true.
a separate issue.
We've been harping on about how good we think Chicory is and the
Mhm.
dialogue and stuff. I do have a problem with it.
Yeah, what was it?
It's too funny. Like I'm just being like it takes me out of it. The tone of Chicory and his nonsense and all these people wandering around the desert is good, but it clashes with scary too much.
Okay.
In my opinion, makes it feel too lighthearted when at the end of the movie stuff is happening. People are getting like shot at and like there's stuff like it makes it so unscary.
Okay.
To me.
I get where you're coming from. I think I have two counter arguments for it.
Okay,
The first has to do with like where the humor's coming from.
sure.
All the humor's coming from Chicory, right?
Mhm.
Who's the comic relief character, obviously. But I think that works for him because he's established as a character that is not self-aware of what he's doing. Like, he's not telling jokes. Chicory, for most of the movie, is being very serious.
Yeah.
He's just not aware that it's funny
Mm.
to us as an audience.
Sure.
And what he's saying isn't even funny to the people with him.
No.
In fact, it's irritating to the people with him. So I don't think it clashes with the environment that he's in.
Mm.
Like, I think the humor coming from him in this situation makes sense from a story perspective.
Yeah.
As far as tone, though, I do think some of the issue with how funny Chicory is during, like, this big, like, essentially exploration sequence when they're traveling to this location where the big kerfuffle is.
Yeah.
Part of the issue with how funny he is during those segments is that it's just him being funny.
Mhm.
There is basically no environmental problems that the group runs into besides the fact that Arthur, the husband, the everyman, is injured.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of their trip just feels kind of like a funny time with Chicory.
That's what it is.
And that's what it is. And there is some issues that happen during that trip.
Yeah, there are some problems.
But there doesn't feel like there's as much as there should be to balance out
Exactly. That was my thing.
those, like, but how do I put this? The problem I think in those sequences isn't the fact that Chicory's being funny. I think that there's just too much downtime and not enough action during that travel sequence.
Mhm.
And I think that might be because of the money issues. So going back to the fact that they had to take a lot of content out, I think they removed some, like, stuff that happens during that trip that would have inconvenienced the party.
That makes sense.
And they just left in Chicory talking because that's cheap And also, he does that during the walking sequences and the riding sequences.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I think it's not an issue of tone. I think it's an issue of weight of story, like story weight, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just more of a thing for me of like the fact that Chicory is so funny and so interesting takes away from the fact that these troglodytes are supposed to be these brutal, scary individuals.
Yes.
Because it feels like there's too much funny and not enough brutality.
But I only have that issue during the traveling sequence of this movie.
No, same. That's where I had the problem.
But during the end, I think his brevity is nice.
Yeah, it is because
it clashes in a way that's fun.
Exactly. And my thing is, I guess what I'm saying is I wanted more of the travel to be sort of a solemn experience.
Yeah, but
because then that builds tension and makes that final fight with the troglodytes feel more impactful.
Yeah, like it's this hard-fought battle at the end of a long war.
Yes, and I think if you cut out some of the because I think having Chicory be funny is important.
Yes.
Because it adds a lightness to the movie and adds depth to these characters and allows for them to feel real in a way that I don't think anyone else could really do. But there's too much of it to where it cheapens the ending for me.
Yeah, I just think it's because they didn't get enough like hardships during the travel sequence.
Yeah.
Because the travel sequence is long and grueling. It's like most of the film.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what I want from a film like this.
Because it's a Western. That's what the trail was like. That's what it's supposed to be.
It's mostly just riding or walking and no issues. Like, I'm putting this out here. You know what we didn't see?
Huh.
Like any animals.
Yeah, we heard some animals.
We heard animals.
We didn't see them.
But you expect to see at least one animal.
For sure, for sure.
Like a snake? We didn't even see a snake.
No,
a snake is referenced.
I'd say they do reference a snake.
And, like, we hear a coyote get pretty close.
Yeah.
But we don't see those things. And that's what I mean. There should have been some things that were in this sequence that would have inconvenienced them.
Oh, for sure.
And I think they got removed, and it messes with the weightiness of the story there.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think that's everything I got.
Okay. Yeah, kind of short, but there's not a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, it's just because, like, we say this a lot. I feel like we say a lot of the same shit sometimes. This movie is a nothing film.
Not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way. Not a lot of stuff happens. There's not a lot of big story points.
Yeah.
Which is fine, honestly.
Which it's what you expect from a rescue-style Western.
Yeah.
Like, someone gets kidnapped, they go to rescue them.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's a fight at the end.
What makes films like that enjoyable is how they're executed.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Because if it was the story, then they'd all be the same.
Yeah. Actually, hold on.
Oh.
I thought of one more thing. We didn't talk about it. This movie's so fucking pretty.
Yeah.
This movie is so
The
beautiful.
shots are pretty, and I think the cinematography's decent. There wasn't any shots where I was like, wow, that cinematography blows me away.
There was one.
There was one. Bob's right. There's one where there's a downward shot of Kurt Russell holding a stopwatch.
And the sun's coming in at the right angle.
That's a pretty shot. But besides from that, I thought the cinematography was fine, but nothing to write home about.
I think it's a pretty movie.
What makes this movie pretty is the filming location.
Mm-hmm.
They film in, I think it's California from what I could find.
Yeah.
It's super pretty. They're in the middle of, like, the wilderness.
Mm-hmm. Tons of mountains, hills.
Like mountains and hills and lush greenery. It's just a very pretty film.
For sure. We haven't really talked about the acting. Acting's good. I liked all the actors. They did a good job. Kurt Russell. Honestly, I think Kurt Russell did a really good job.
I mean, I just like Kurt Russell.
I just like Kurt Russell.
I thought the guy who did Chicory was very great.
Yeah, same.
Because I said this to you during the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't recognize him at first.
Yeah, I don't know what he looks like outside of the movie. You trying to find a picture?
I can pull up a picture if you want. But he's played by Richard Jenkins. And for anyone listening to this podcast, they probably know him most famously from Cabin in the Woods.
Mm-hmm.
He's the balding guy. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of Bob.
Okay.
From Cabin in the Woods. Because that's how he looks in that movie is like how he looks in real life, basically.
Oh, okay. They didn't have to do any changes or anything?
Like, he's just dressed up how he is dressed up in real life, but with glasses on. And it's just a very weird fact to see him as Chicory, because Chicory looks very different. It looks like a different guy, right?
It looks like a completely different man. Holy shit.
Also, Chicory's just unhinged in a way that a real person isn't.
Chicory's a fucking weirdo. So funny. He's so funny. Especially at the beginning, because there's no, like, I guess, weight to the situation that's going on in the beginning.
Chicory walks into the sheriff's office. We don't know who he is. He's just a bumbling old man, and he's like, "Is that tea?" And the sheriff's like, "Nah, it's soup." But what do you say? "Is that tea? It smells awful." It's like, "It's soup." And he's like, "Oh, this is scrumptious."
He goes, "It tastes like corn." Well, it's a corn chowder.
All right.
Awesome.
Do you want to do recommendations?
Yeah, how about it, Ben?
All right, you want to start?
Sure. Let me see. If you're a fan of Westerns, good Western, I think this is a very good Western.
For a modern Western, yeah.
For sure. My other recommendation is, if you want a light horror movie, I would call this horror light.
Okay, caveat on that.
Yeah.
Horror light in scariness.
In scary.
Gore.
In gruesomeness, gruesome movie.
There's not a lot of gore, but
But what you get to see
is pretty bad.
is brutal.
Like, cringy bad.
That fucking... At the end, bro?
Bob just mimed it, so you can't hear it. But
I
he
wasn't
just
going to
mimed
spoil it.
I know.
But it was cool, right? Like, it's
yeah,
good.
no, it's really cool. I just want to say horror light for scariness, but
Yeah.
you need to be prepared for gore.
Blood
Because
and guts.
There is
There's a hefty
more
amount of
gore than
blood.
you would expect from a standard Western, even a gritty one.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
it gets into it. Anything else?
Western, horror light. Yeah, that's it. I don't have any more.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, no.
Gonna go with the same one. Western, obviously. If you want a modern Western, but one that's gonna be playing around with some tropes a little bit. Because this isn't simple. It leans
No.
more towards into like a monster rather than human outlaws in a
Yeah,
way
for
that
sure.
is very different, and I think that's fun.
In a way that ties it more to the horror genre.
Yes, and if you're really a fan of Westerns, that's probably very interesting for you to see.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's different. Same thing. It's not very scary. There's some very suspenseful moments.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
Very suspenseful moments.
I was freaking out at one point.
But I will say again, the gore can be a little heavy, so I do give you caution there, because you could go into this film not being a big fan of horror and be okay,
For sure.
but maybe not be okay with the gore.
Yeah.
And the last one I'm going to give, if you like Zoller, like as a writer, and you haven't heard of this movie, because he writes Western novels,
Mhm.
so it's interesting to go see this. In fact, I would say, if you're a fan of like Western novels, this might be an interesting one, because my guess, I don't read a lot of Western
I don't
novels.
think I've ever read a Western
I
novel.
don't think I have either. Well, that's not true. I think I read one a long time ago when I was little. But I think the dialogue you get from this movie might be closer to something like that.
Makes sense.
And yeah, I think those are my recommendations. Also, if you're interested in this, I was given heavy like Wild West monster vibes from this.
Yeah, that's what I would.
And I was thinking about for anyone who doesn't know, Bob plays role-playing games.
all the time.
But there's a role-playing game called Call of Cthulhu,
Oh, yeah.
and they have an expansion that's like in the Wild West.
Yeah,
and
we
that's what
talked
I was
about it.
feeling like watching this.
Same.
But those are my recommendations. Getting kind of off topic. You want to give it a rating?
Okay. I'm in a tough spot here, Ben,
Yeah.
because I like this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good movie, but I have complaints. You heard my complaints
Yeah.
already. I've weighted them out, and I think I'm gonna give this a 4.5.
Okay.
I was stuck between a 4.5 and a 5.
It's not a 5.
4.5
Yeah, it's definitely not 5.
because,
Not to be mean to this movie, but like,
well,
I think your only 5 is The Exorcist.
maybe I don't remember.
Well, I know you gave The Exorcist one. I don't remember if you gave it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know. We should write those down. I have been actually. now that I
Go
think
ahead,
about it.
Bob. Just
Anyway, 4.5 because it's cool. It's a spin on a Western I didn't expect, and I like that it feels like a Western. Like, that's good for me.
a lot more than The Wind.
Oh,
Although I like the setting for The Wind.
the
but it
setting for
didn't
The
feel
Wind
like
is
a
good,
Western.
and the setup for that movie is great. My thing with this movie that I like so much is the cast of characters we get is the perfect posse in a Western.
Perfect posse.
It's the perfect posse. And the way they interact with each other is awesome. And the things that they fight are cool. And the practical effects are awesome. My thing is, I said it already, I think Chicory is too funny and it's not weighted properly between horror and Western.
Okay.
And then a serious tone and a funny tone. It's too funny, not serious enough sometimes. And it leans too hard into Western and not enough into horror at some points for me. And that's my problems with the movie. Other than that, I really like this movie. It's very fun.
All right. I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
So, as always, 3 for me is kind of like it accomplished all it should have. And I think what this movie set out to do, especially because Zoller's gone on record saying he thinks this is a straight Western,
Mhm.
I think what this set out to do was just to be a rescue-style Western adventure. You know, I think that's what it wanted to be.
I think he did that.
And it did that. It did that fine. But I think it was able to go the extra mile by choosing such an original spin on a pretty standard, like, villain in a Western.
For sure.
By making them, like, these monstrous kind of, like, cave dwellers.
And they're also, like, they look different.
Yeah, their costuming's pretty good.
Their costuming is really good, but they're inhumanly strong.
Yeah, they're not even shown very well, but they're not human. They
No.
can't be. They're weirdly strong.
Weirdly strong, weirdly, like, shaped.
And we've mentioned the fact that they have things inserted into their body in
Mhm.
ways that don't make sense for the 1890s
Yeah.
with no medicine. But I think that kind of pushes it to a 3.5 for me. And then I think it goes even further with just the dialogue. The dialogue really
so
gets
good.
there.
It's like genuinely really good.
And we keep talking about Chicory because, to be honest, he talks more than every other character in this film combined.
Yeah.
So we have to, talk about him. But the dialogue and the characterization through that dialogue is so well done in this film. And I do think that pushes it the extra mile. Plus, the gore effects are really great.
They're so good.
Basically, I think this goes above and beyond what it can be as just a straight up, we're going to go rescue someone.
Yeah.
However, like Bob says, there's some problems with it. This is not a perfect movie. There's my big issue with the costuming and stuff for a film that does so well with it at the end, but also with the gore. There's attention paid to that stuff. Just to fail right off, right out of the gate like that.
Yeah, for sure.
It takes away a lot in a way that's very frustrating. But the more I think about this movie, the more that I think that it feels like stuff was removed from the film that should have been in there. And I think that causes some problems with it. Not big problems, it doesn't ruin the film.
Honestly, if they had extended this by how was this, 2 hours and 12 or something? 2 hours 13?
Super long.
If they had extended it to 2.5 and given us that extra 15 or so minutes interspersed throughout the travel sequence, maybe it could have been better.
I think there's just some stuff missing that would have fixed some of the weight of the tones issues that Bob has, and I can see where he's coming from. I think there's some stuff missing, and it's no fault of the director. He was doing this on a very low budget, and I know it was because of budget reasons. But it's preventing it from getting that 4.5.
For sure.
For me.
Yeah, I think for me at least, I see where having a low budget could infringe upon the amount of stuff you can do with it. And I think filling that space with dialogue is a good idea because it's cheap.
Yeah, I want to say this right now. He stretched that budget amazingly well. We're talking about how, it's so sad he doesn't have a lot, but he did a great job with what he had.
For sure.
Just shooting alone should have cost more than the money he spent. So,
yeah.
Props there.
I think this is a very, very good movie for a first-time director, and B, with the amount of money he
And
had
that's the other
coming
issue
into
we
it.
haven't talked about. It's a first-time director. I don't expect everything to be perfect. So the fact that he got a 4 out of me, a 4.5 out of you, that's pretty great.
I mean, yeah. I've given movies worse. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. That's true.
We've definitely seen some worse movies on this show.
Yeah, Night of the Lepus.
It's shut up. Quit referencing that good movie.
It's so bad.
It's a fucking
Objectively.
great movie.
It's fun.
Incredible movie. All right.
That's all I got.
Are we done, Ben?
Yeah, we're going to go to the outtakes right now. There may or may not be a lot of them. I tagged a lot of stuff because we were laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
And just talking, but we'll see what you guys get.
Yeah, I'll trim it down. I think it came out to 28 individual marks throughout the episode.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few.
All right, but we'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in a bit. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this outtake section for this episode of Beware the Board. I hope you're enjoying our review of Bone Tomahawk so far. I think it's a really cool, fun movie, but I'm going to start leading in with this one. The outtake section is usually full of spoilers, so if you do not want any spoilers, please skip to 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 5 seconds immediately. But without further ado, let's get into the first outtake. This next clip is Ben and I reacting to seeing David Arquette for the first time during the cold open. You know what's really cool about this movie, Ben?
What? It's 2 hours and 12 minutes long?
That's cool. But I'm so excited because this feels like, oh my God, what is happening? Is that what? Is he cutting that guy's? Why is it so crunchy sounding?
It's David Arquette.
Oh, it is David Arquette. This next outtake is Ben and I's reaction to the end of the cold open. Why are you shooting? Didn't you just say? He's been hit by an arrow.
Right in the neck.
Oh, he's getting fucked up.
Bone Tomahawk.
But he just got eviscerated. God damn. This next clip is Ben and I reacting to meeting Chicory for the very first time.
That's Kurt Russell.
Yeah, okay, so this is a guy I saw in the intro. Or not the intro, in the picture.
That tea smells gruesome.
Smells gruesome.
Soup.
That's why. That's why it smells gruesome. Well, you just walk into someone's house asking for soup?
No, but he just started with, it smells horrible.
Now
Can I have some soup? It smells bad.
It smells bad. Let me have some of your soup. He thought it was tea.
It is in a kettle. I'll give him that.
Fair enough. This next clip is Ben and I reacting to learning what Bruder's horse is called and also what he has trained it in. His horse's name is Saucy. You trained her in bigotry. Oh my lord. That was good. That was incredibly funny.
Saucy resisted.
Saucy the horse, trained in bigotry.
It resisted.
This next clip is Ben and I's reaction to learning what happened to David Arquette after he was taken.
What was that noise? Bob, aren't you so happy it's
Man,
cannibals?
They
You
ate,
thought you were free.
they ate David Arquette.
You thought there wouldn't be a cannibal movie until we got cannibals. Lo and behold.
I'm pretty sure this is one of the first ideas I pitched when it came to Wild Wild West films, by the way.
Well, yeah, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Except it wasn't the first thing you guessed.
No. This next clip is Ben and I's reaction to Nick's fate in the caves. This is
Oh,
fucked
they're
up.
scalping
Are they
him.
scalping him?
Yep.
That's so fucked up. That has to fucking hurt. So are
That's
they?
why he's screaming.
Oh, they're shoving his own scalp in his face.
No, they're shoving it in his mouth, like that bone.
That's what I. Mm-hmm.
That wasn't his scalp.
They shoved his scalp in his mouth, and then Oh my God! They're taking it.
They're chopping him in half.
Oh, they're just gonna rip him. They're just gonna rip him in half. They're just gonna rip him. Oh. Oh my God. Oh.
They're gonna split him.
God damn, that was
amongst
gross.
themselves.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the outtakes. Another one down, Ben.
Yeah.
Another one down. Do we have any announcements?
No.
No announcements this week.
Come
Nice.
check us out next week.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. Every Friday, we put an episode.
Yep. Or Monday, Thursday if there's extras.
Yeah.
Hasn't been for a
Or
while.
Saturdays.
Or Saturdays. Or whenever days.
You know, if you want to know when we put an episode, check us out on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter, @BewareTheBoard. It's where I post updates about the show. Every time an episode goes live, I post it on our Twitter. Every Monday, I post a spoiler post for whatever, episodes we put out that week. So basically, it'll just be a photo of the movie cover. You can reveal it if you want so that you can watch it beforehand so you get no spoilers. And you know what we're talking about when we're watching the movie. Yeah. Check us out on Twitter. I post updates about the show there all the time.
You can also check us out wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Spotify or Apple. We're also on YouTube. We've been there since the beginning. Maybe
Yeah.
you want to watch it there for some reason. That's also a good place to communicate with us. There's Twitter. You can text Bob directly there. But you
Yeah.
can comment in our Twitter section. Not our Twitter section. Our YouTube comment section. You can also like, comment, and subscribe if you want to help us out, and be like our little assistant deputies.
You can be our chickeries.
Yeah. But that's all I got today.
Oh, Lord. Oh, you know what? I know we usually save conversations for during the podcast. I want a conversation now. That was a much better Western film than the first one we watched.
Yeah, but the first one we watched was...
Something else.
It was, well, the execution, it just failed at the end.
Yeah.
This one was fine overall,
Fine. All right. Well,
Until next time.
I guess we'll see you next week, everybody.